We will now connect you to your call. The host has joined the conference. Conference recording started.
Good morning, everyone. If you're joining us late, which it sounds like some people may have, we're doing a review of the manifest and assorted folders. Welcome to the meeting.
Morning, Mr. Burke.
Good morning. All right. Lie down back there.
Okay.
Got a change in the weather these days, huh?
Did you get the action set? I did. Yeah, actually, resumes are in there. I did that earlier. sure?
Didn't mean to push that out front.
On the, election 10th for November 3rd, did we get a, setup date? Excuse me.
The contract just says within 2 days of the event.
Are you able to, get to the bottom of the total cost of that dumpster for hazardous household waste?
You know, I sent them a bill for the dumpster, I didn't see the transport, so I'll send them a bill for the transport.
Okay.
Thanks, Dave.
Didn't see those behind me. The trees through the woods.
Brian, were you able to play that back from the other day when we taped it?
Did we lay it back?
Yeah.
Yes, and it worked fine.
Perfect.
It's on. Mike, what is that?
This right here is a request from, Chief Burbank for a new firefighter for the fire department, Miss Matherson, Amy Matherson, firefighter 1. She was an EMT, and it says here she's willing to get her EMT certification back. So that would be, pretty good. We'll bring that up later.
I just put that in, I did not see that, that's why.
Oh, you didn't see, wow,
It came in this morning, apparently, I slipped it in.
like that.
On a pool for sewage, septic system. This is an extension, but shouldn't you have an address on it? Shouldn't it, it just says School Street,
Yep. It should have,
some sort of, or are they expecting us to go back and look at the prior one, I guess?
I don't know, so. Thanks, Joe. Has tax map and lot number on it.
All right.
That's how you have to,
typically the designer install that asks for the extension, not the request didn't come from the owner, it came from the designer installer.
Yeah. Saw that. Land tech.
How come these are all hooked together here, but not the rest of them?
I'm sorry, sir.
Why is this hooked like this, and the rest of them aren't included? These look like they're all individual things, but it's underneath one.
I'm missing your question,
Why do we have this on here?
just to hold them together.
Okay. Good.
It's like a big paper clip.
Yeah, okay. Heartland.
Anybody figure out Rebecca's code in line 1 for? No, okay.
No.
I'll quiz her on that one.
I figured you knew it.
Nope, that one was a new one on me.
Gonna need a non-public today too.
Really? Okay.
If we can fit her in.
We can fit it in. Do you have a designation for what it will be under?
Personnel.
No. Lovely. No.
It's terrible, like, it's constant readjustments, I just can't see.
I had an ophthalmologist for a long time.
I'm telling you, the
This
money,
is gonna be the sixth pair of glasses.
oh, it's terrible. Yeah, I'm not going back, I can say that.
Like, she was doing this with the 2 pairs of glasses, trying to decide which one was better.
These ones are a food, but after a while, it's like they fade away and don't work anymore, it's so weird. Old age is tough, yeah.
We wouldn't know,
Of course.
but you know when we catch up to you.
On the Action Ambulance was 2,
Yeah,
one's back from July.
yes. Somehow or other, we missed the July invoice. Whether it got caught up with a bunch of stuff, that invoice comes with a person's name, not Action Ambulance. So it could have gotten deleted when we were getting the batches, or we just didn't get it somehow or other. She asked about it, we didn't have it, we hadn't paid it, and that's why we paid both of them. Actually, when Mike and Dave and I were going over the budget, they kind of thought it was low until I told them that was the problem. we got the August one.
Considering paying it, or?
Consider.
Keep it up. You'll have someone else to pick on sitting here.
Hey, you know, whole new individual to break in and abuse.
I'll have to tip her off. I didn't get tipped off when I came.
You can blame somebody for that if you like.
Surprising the better.
You know, that's another, thing that, actually was in conversation with the zoning officer. She mentioned, has our new town administrator been, introduced, say, on the website? And I don't know if that's something we'd like to do or not.
On her first day of hire, yes, or actual showing up.
I suspect you ought to get past the conditional offer before you do that. And that, I was supposed to have had this morning from the lieutenant, the information for that, but
Oh, yeah.
unless he sent it to me after I left home, I don't have it yet.
I was surprised he's not here. I thought he was going to be attending when he can, so probably caught up in something else. All right. All right, so I guess we're through the folders.
Yeah.
Just, I'll make a note, I believe the budget committee is meeting on the 28th. And, that's 6 o'clock. So, budget committee, 6 o'clock,
Dave, just on that budget to action I gave you this morning, I fixed the, monies that came in to offset the ambulance budget. That's been fixed. The other stuff is not yet. So, just, it wasn't too much, but there was a couple of other things I was gonna try to fix before. I can't remember what they are right off the top, but there was a couple of other items.
all right, gonna go right into our manifest, and I'll make a motion to approve the manifest in the amount of $38,797.66. Do I have a second?
Hot second.
All in favor?
All right.
Hal and I. Signature folder, I will make a motion to approve the regular, meeting minutes of September 15th.
Second with an amendment.
All right, we have a second. And discussion.
Underneath the selectmen's comments, the very last paragraph says, residents concerning scheduled appointments within 90 days to discuss their revale. That is an incorrect wording. When you look at the actual document sent out by Avatar, it says data will be available on the internet for 30 days. If you feel an error should exist, you can schedule an appointment within 30 days, not necessarily within 30 days. Act soon. So I'm thinking we should amend that wording to about 30 days, but also attach a copy of that sample letter that we had. So if somebody wants to read these minutes, they can actually see what the Avatar statement was.
So, about 30 days?
Yeah, well, it's not even the way it's worded. Stuff's gonna be available for 30, but not necessarily 30.
Okay, so see attached.
Why don't, here's a thought then, let me run this by you. So it reads, a letter has been sent out to all residents concerning scheduling appointments. If we scratch within 90 days,
That would do it.
right, so we scratch within 90 days, So it'll now read, a letter has been sent out to all residents concerning scheduling appointments to discuss reval information. Please follow instructions in the letter. The letter will also be available on the town website, and we attach, a letter to these minutes, okay?
All right, so remove 90 days.
Within
Within-
90, so yeah, within 90 days, when those three work. That'll work.
All right, I will make a motion to amend my, I will amend my motion to include the edits. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Fuller, aye.
Hal and I? Aye. All right, that's done. Then we have the, I will approve, let me try that again. I would like to make a motion to approve September 15,
2020.
2020 work sessions, yes, because that is incorrectly stated in the,
And I got a problem with 9s and 0s.
so again, the motion is to approve the work session meeting minutes of September 15th. Second is? Hot second, all in favor?
Fuller, aye.
Aye. Al and I. Again, we'll make a motion for September 15th public hearing, meeting minutes. Do I have-
Fuller, second.
And all in favor?
Fuller, aye.
Aye. Al and I. Let's see. All right, so then we had, deed signings for the, auction properties that were sold, the Saturday, when was that, yeah, anyway.
Earlier this month.
Yeah, earlier this month, they were sold.
The 12th.
The 12th. I had that in my head. All right, then we have an action folder, that there's, just, applications, transfer station attendant. And the review of the mail had the zoning officer's report, NRRA's report for recycling. Loss Management Committee is our safety committee, and my understanding there is nobody has been replaced from the Board of Selectmen to that position. Is anybody interested in, and I think they do that once a month, maybe? Mr. Hart, you? Yeah, I will. Chuck, you talk to you guys?
Oh, I'm good.
Oh, okay, no, that's great, thanks, appreciate that, Tom. Let's see, we had, some, septic system approvals and extensions in the folder. We have the administrator's comments, looks like Consolidated showed up.
No,
Oh,
showing up tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.
oh yeah, Wednesday, I would have thought I would have thought it was last Wednesday, I'm sorry.
I would have thought so too, but at least we've got them scheduled for 9 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Well, what it says here on my, it's Consolidated, walk through 9A Wednesday. So I didn't have a lot of context.
The A is a.m.
I figured that one. Or any Wednesday that they choose going forward. All right, so hopefully they'll get to the bottom of the wires outside.
Brian, is this just the engineering techs coming in, or is Ian Silverman coming in, or?
This is the design operations woman from Manchester.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm not sure exactly. These people have more people involved.
Well, that's why they're a utility. You gotta support, paying the public, yeah.
It's no wonder sometimes they have some financial difficulties.
well, it's coming all the way from Manchester, hopefully they'll get to the bottom of that. Do you have anything else, Brian, or?
No, that's it.
Move into, Selectmen's comments with Mr. Hart.
Okay, I talked to Mr. Moran, who we got that letter from last week on his driveway issue on, I went by there, it still needs work. I actually spoke with him on the phone yesterday, he's not upset or nothing, just knows we're working on it.
Okay, any other driveway?
I did that road 3 times, just 4 times actually, up back, and that's the only one I actually saw. Everything else looked really good.
Okay, so that's number 10?
Yep.
All right, got a small list going for, a contractor.
Okay, and then, I need a non-public today, I mentioned earlier, a personnel issue.
Okay,
On the election workers, payment, I see we got it down here on the new business, pay of poll workers. I just had a couple printouts here I'll give out at that point when we discuss that. I didn't know that was, should that be in a non-public?
I don't think so, I think we can cover that.
It's public info.
One of the,
It's basically IRS regs that govern what you can do and can't do.
Right.
one of my thoughts here, and without getting into that, so maybe what I have to say here is irrelevant, but it seems to me that certain payments were made in the past without certain information that we're now looking to take being assembled. The problem that I see that we have going into this last election and past performances is we're making a change and people weren't informed. So that's my concern there. I don't know, but it's a small amount of money typically that we're dealing with. Maybe we can do this out of accounts payable this go round, and going forward, we inform people that all this other personal data will need to be collected. So, depending on
No, that's what my issue lies too, where if these people need to have anything filled out, they should have been given it to them before, when they were asked to work, they
Yep.
should be given the paperwork to fill
The
out.
fact that it wasn't done doesn't mean that you,
Yeah, but
do
these
not have
people
to
go
follow the law.
with a lot of these people that work the polls.
makes no difference.
The
We
mayor
now
does,
are addressing an issue that has come up in a discussion.
right?
We need to make sure we are following proper procedure. Now, reading the information on the election workers from the IRS website, anybody getting under $600, if they wanna get a W-2 and have withholding, they can elect to have that done. We don't have to do anything about that. We don't have to do a W-2 if it's under $600. If it's over that, there are different parameters, but the thing they do have to do, without exception, every employee has to fill out an I-9. So that's not something we can say yes or no to. It's an IRS requirement, all employees.
Okay. So, when I was in here yesterday, and me and Brian were chatting about this a little bit, and, it was brought up. And he's, correct me if I'm wrong, you said that you were gonna be able to get the people paid because you had just about everybody's numbers from another time, right? Social numbers?
There's only one person that I don't have a social security number for, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, but those numbers that you have for these other poll workers, they didn't give you that number for this purpose, correct? They know nothing about this.
Does the I-9 have a social on it?
I don't think, that if I'm understanding your question right, the answer to that is yes and no. People that had worked before all had put in their social security numbers existed, and they had filled out.
Work for the election?
Yes. Or they had worked for the town in some capacity. The two problems that I ran into, and I inherited these, so bear with me. There's two ways people get paid. One is they get paid as an employee of the town. The other is they get paid as a private contractor. It appears that in past, that was mix and match done. I have no idea why. The problem that exists with doing it as a contractor is multifold. One is we do not have a contract with those individuals. We have an employee-employer relationship. I understand the individuals may like that because they get nothing withheld from the monies that they receive. The problem with that is they also have to be covered under their own insurance for any issues that happen because they're contractors. And Primex won't cover them as employees. So if they get hurt at the polls, they're on their own, which, first of all, I don't think it's a good idea because they're going to come back after the town anyway. But Primex is probably not going to cover it because they're a contractor. And Primex, that's why you get a W-9 from contractors, which stays right in there that they are a sole proprietor under contract with the town, and this is their IRS business number. We don't have that with any of the any of the people that are poll workers. The only exception to that rule is a statutory exception involving volunteer call part-time firefighters. And that's a statutory exception. It's not an exception made by the town. So what I was trying to do was put everybody under the employment side of it. Because as you all know, one of our employees did get injured, and it's a workman's compensation injury at the polls. And that's going to be covered by Primex as a workman's compensation. If that had happened to someone that was claiming to be a 9-9 contract, that we wouldn't cover it. They'd have to cover it themselves. So what I was looking to try to do was get everybody under the umbrella as being an employee, because they are not contractors. You don't have a signed contract with them, that they're doing some contractual labor for the town. So, and actually, I had everybody, you asked about Social Security numbers, the very brand new people that had never worked for the town before, all filled out W-4s and I-9s.
After they worked or before?
I think that's a split bag, to be honest with you. They all knew about it before, but I wasn't standing there when they filled it out, Deanna was, so that's why I'm hedging on answering the question, because I don't know if it happened before they started working the day off, it happened the day before, it happened during, I don't know, I wasn't there. All I know is I got them, and I received them after the election, but that was because that's when Deanna gave them to me. I want to say there was 2 or 3. That was it.
So Brian, then the 1 or 2 or 10 holdouts that we have, maybe it's just a communication issue to be resolved. So with that,
The only one. That's the only one.
so only 1 now. We're down. Okay, because Deanna had made mention in the past to me a while back that there was an issue with others. So apparently that doesn't exist anymore.
All the ones she handed me for pay, I had Social Security numbers for, and I paid them as employees with the exception of 1.
Well, the coverage by Primex, I think, is an important issue. So I'll take the short list, and I'll work on that. And I think that since everybody else has signed up, I think we got a resolution.
Now, I got to be honest with you, I'm not sure every one of them has an I-9, because people that were in the system, I made the assumption that someone got an I-9 problem at one time. The two or three new people that were I-9s with it. So I got to be right up front with you. I can go back through all the personnel files 2 or 3 years to make sure the people that have been doing this continuously all had I-9s. I'm making the assumption they did.
Okay. All right. That's something that can be chipped away at going forward. That sounds like it's pretty much settled material, so why don't we keep moving along then?
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on, I've gone talking to people out and about when's the office closing. Yesterday I got another one. When's the office opening? When's the office opening? Once again, I asked them, what can't you do? And no one has an answer for that. But anyway, over the weekend, Nashua City Hall opened up a little more than they were. They're now shut down for the next 2 weeks because they opened up too soon, too fast, didn't follow guide or whatever, but now they're shut down. They've had to get an outside contractor to do all their business, which is costing them a fortune now.
You don't even need to show that one to me, Tom.
So I just want to put that out there, we're not staying closed to make life difficult for anybody or what have you. But this is, it's a perfect example of what can happen if you don't follow what we're doing right now, just keeping it closed till everything is safe. We get,
I think part of this, there's a few people who've been stirring the pot on the idea here, but there's, like you said, all the business is being able to be conducted. It's just something that people are picking up and running with in the moment.
Right.
Sanford again, the school over here in Maine had issues closing down. Cases are on the move over there. Locally, I think we had what's the home over
The
here?
nursing home.
The nursing home had issues. So the stuff spreads, it's easily, you know, transmitted, it can come in the building and like you said, you know,
Yeah.
the operation can shut down, so.
And that's proof positive.
I mean, if we had some good data from people that we're not meeting a need, you know, I'd have to say that I'd be willing to look at how we, you know, address that issue, but right now, I think it just is simply people talking about things that maybe, I don't know, they may not have the.
Yeah, I'm not aware of anybody that has not been able to get service.
Me neither.
Correct.
And everybody who
If
said some,
somebody hasn't been able to get service, boy, I wanna hear about that one, but I haven't had anybody.
yeah, and I've asked them when they've complained about it not being open, and there's nothing they haven't been able to do. They say it takes a few more minutes. Everything's taking a few more minutes nowadays with this pandemic, and that's what we got. We're all in this together, though, you know,
Well, if you're waiting in line, it takes a few minutes, so I guess it's how you quantify it, but anyway.
Okay.
So, yeah, if people do have an issue and they feel it's relevant, they certainly can, email the office
Yeah.
and, let them, so.
All right, and then, this week, delinquent taxes. $515,739.11. And on the brighter side, it's actually gone down $18,000 $246 from last week.
So, Tom, what was, the back taxes or delinquent taxes are at what point?
515.
Yep.
739.11.
So, I know you've made this your mission to keep on top of, and I'm sure, Dave Strauss at the Budget Committee and those folks are probably just loving the idea that that information is readily available. I saw that, a lot of material went out, for the Budget Committee's, initial, well, they've had other meetings, but the September meeting that's going to really kick off the budget season is covering that issue, and, I guess there'll be discussion around that.
And that's it.
All right, then, we'll kick it over to Mr. Fuller.
All right, the personnel policy we worked on in work session last week, we decided in the area of the vacation stuff, we would come up with a whole new way of disclosing that, talking about it. I actually prepped a small grid that I think makes everything visually easy to understand, so when we hit a work session moment, I think we can review that, and if we come up with some language around it, I think we have, a way to disclose that, where people can clearly understand if they're working X number of hours over what number of years, this is what your number of hours vacation are.
Yep.
So we'll deal with that then. I followed up with Brian around the, salt contract that I was trying to get out of Portsmouth. It appears we already have it, in play with the town through Morton Salt, so we're good on that one, we don't need to do anything else. And I have reached out to the American Equipment Company around, finding out if the pellet boiler is something that can be marketed and sold in the secondary market.
I was asked for pictures, and I haven't gotten around to sending them. I want to
Okay.
speed it up a little.
Oh, okay.
It's all the stuff.
All right, yeah, I hadn't had that discussion, so.
And we did turn it on yesterday for the first time, the heat came on.
Hey,
Yeah.
Have we heard anything from Strojan on when they're coming in?
I was gonna bring that up. I have that in front of me. I don't know.
And we still can see the pellets, so it's still got some.
Yeah, well, I saw, some smoke coming out of the side, so I double checked to make sure our boiler was on. Because usually when you see smoke coming out of the side, it's the little propane thing kicking in, which could easily mean, this is why, this is why we're doing this. It could mean that we're having a problem again. But-
So have we heard from Strojan?
No,
Okay, I will reach out.
no problem. Christine, you haven't had you.
I handed Mike the Trojan contract last week,
I've got it here.
that's all I have.
It's signed. I don't think it has a start date, though. I didn't.
No, it doesn't, that's why I'm just saying, I wanna, because
Did we
cold weather's
send that
coming.
to Strojan yet?
Yeah, they
Okay.
signed it and I returned it.
And I'll put it here to go
All
back
right,
in the
I will
file.
follow up with a phone call on that one to figure out what's the schedule.
Did you want it down the deposit before we started?
What'd it say in there? I didn't
I gotta be honest with you, I don't remember.
Probably be on the back.
But if he wants a deposit, he didn't get one yet, and that may be the holdup.
Yeah, he didn't say anything.
There's nothing
No.
outlining any
No.
steps here. so.
Okay, well, I'll do the follow-up
Okay.
to make sure that happens. And, based on last week's public hearing, are you gonna bring up the indemnification for negligence?
Yeah.
Perfect, good, now you got that on yours, and, that's all I have.
All right. Well then, let's see, as Chuck just mentioned, the, indemnification, which is on our agenda a little further down on the new business, it's really, we're gonna say we're adopting RSA 31:105. So that's a motion I'm going to make, but just so it's clear, this should be just a reaffirmation of the existence of that, being previously adopted. I didn't go digging through the files back in, Bill Pycutt was selectman for a very long time. He intoned to me that he had done this way back in the 2000s somewhere. So without digging through the records, we all wanted a fresh record of that people are covered this way. So, the town probably had adopted this, but without digging up for actual proof, we did what we did it at a public hearing, and now, to be captured in the minutes, of this meeting, I'm gonna make a motion to adopt RSA 31:105. And I'll take a second on
What's
that.
the title of it? Indemnification for negligence.
Indemnification for negligence.
I'll second that, Fuller.
Fuller seconds, all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Howard, aye.
Okay, what are we calling this? Just RSA 31:105, it's not a policy?
It's the title of that.
It'll have a title.
Okay, yeah,
That's the title.
and that's all we're doing, we're adopting.
Yep.
Just for the record, I think that's the only thing in 105.
Could be, without having that in front of me, I think
wow.
it's buried in the stack, but.
Okay.
All right, then, let's see, I do wanna go through what Randy had sent in, we discussed somewhat earlier, is that, the board is looking to approve Amy Matheson. She's firefighter 1, previously in EMT, looking to get her certification back for EMT. She's passed her background, check. So, with that, I will make a motion to approve Ms. Matheson as to be a firefighter with the Effingham Fire Department. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? No?
All right.
Cahill and I.
Aye.
All right, so that's, checked off. I do wanna find out a little bit about what our policy with background checks are. Randy's doing his over at the, fire station. We've done some here, the PD does some, so,
I believe they're all going into the same place, because with some of the internal discussions I've had here, they went to Randy to get the contact information to be able to do it.
that's what I wanted to make sure is, do we have a standardized path on with this process? Brian Burke, Administrator Burke is saying no, so perhaps that's something that, you could, prepare for us, just how this is working, what is and what isn't working perhaps, what's the best way to deal with this. And I would gather there's probably different levels of looking into, well, like the police chief, for example, was an exhausting process that probably doesn't apply to everyone, so.
The process would be different based on the level of responsibility and also the level of liability that the town assumes.
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's the first thing. The second thing, it appears there is no consistency on where those are kept. I know that there's a file in the other room with several background checks of firefighters in it, but Chief Burbank has told me there are none here, he keeps them all. That's not true. I know there's no background checks of law enforcement, but I believe there is a statute that specifically covers that.
Okay, well then, I'm sorry, I'm gonna stop you here. I think this is an issue that is bigger than having a discussion right now at the meeting, and I'd like to have that as a work session item added to, other things that we're into, like Chuck brought up with the personnel policy. So we'll pencil that in for our next, work session, and I think, some budget discussions are going to need to be had.
I just wanted to make it clear there is no consistency.
Right.
Okay,
And.
I'll withdraw my statement on that based on the.
Okay, so I'm looking at the 29th, our next week's meeting. Perhaps we can follow up with a work session after our regular meeting, if that works for everyone.
It does.
Tom, you good with that?
What was that date, sorry?
29th?
Next week's, after the BOS meeting.
Yep. Okay, and then we'll do, we'll try to narrow down the finer points on the personnel policy. And we should have, background, check information, some kind of a follow-up there. We probably have other items that we can add to that work session, so if anybody just wants to throw something in the pile, please do, let me know, I'll add it there, or let Brian know, we can put it on.
Now, isn't that the date you're also opening the winter road maintenance contracts?
It probably is.
I think they have to be in before the close of business on the 28th to be opened on the 29th. And to the best of my knowledge, we do not have any.
All right,
I gave out one check.
all right. Well, get a list of everybody who's registered a vehicle with a plow. Okay, we'll take that under advisement and see, what we get there.
We ought to do a little bit more than advisement today, because that's next week.
Well, it's never been an item that draws a lot of interest for the town, so, hoping that something happens there, I don't know. Give that some thought in my off hours. Here we go with that. I'm gonna keep this moving, because I have appointments today. So I wanna touch on some work that we were all involved in, Gwen, English, Dave Strauss from the Budget Committee, Brian and myself, just to follow up on some avatar assessing items that we were looking at. One item was to move the tax collector's software, into her, budget, that was found in there. And there was a bill for utilities. That's an ongoing issue with, Consolidated Communications, I guess they took over from PSNH. So there's some discussion on.
Eversource.
Eversource, right. They, took over for PSNH, and we had seen earlier in the year, they sent something in about an issue with their taxation on utility poles once again. The state has now formalized that process, but 2019, that did not happen. So the decks have been cleared for the previous 5 years. That's laying out there to be contested. So utility costs on our assessing contract are a separate item that Mr. Gary Roberge undertakes. So that was one of those costs that came in that looked like it was on the contract. It's part of the contract, but it's an expense that wasn't budgeted for. We were informed we didn't anticipate any new utilities, but this is an ongoing thing. So that's just for everybody's peace of mind to know that's there, and there's probably another bill coming in about $250 on the same issue. So we'll be looking for those. And utilities probably needs its own line under assessing so that we can track this stuff, because it's, like I said, it's not a cost included in the contract price. The other thing we come to find out is never saw the January billing, and that's a result of the assessing company billing us in February for January, when all the work is done. So when we get to the end of the year, we want to make sure that December payment gets included in the calendar year, just so it doesn't accidentally overlap onto the next year's budget. And we're up to date because they're 1 month behind in their billing, so that was a consideration. And that's pretty much it. I just wanted to make sure for those involved, and if you gentlemen hadn't been up to speed on that, that's where we were with the assessing issues. Let's see, with that, Mike Hanson, I've got to reach out to HEB to see where we are with our permit for the wetlands, so we can get Mike Hanson in to finish the bridge abutments. That's all ready to go. He's got his price all as part of the contract in there, so if we can get that tied up, that would be great. The other thing is we're waiting on the USDA, and again, I'll talk to Chris at HEB for the contract modifications that are required for the USDA. They wanted some language in there. Once we get that done, we can have a signed contract here between the bridge builder, our engineering company, USDA, and...
So does Chris actually have that legal language, or do we get it from USDA, add it, and then give a contract back? Correct.
USDA should be communicating directly with HEB.
Okay.
At some point a few months ago, whatever that was, some of the intricacies of this process, me being in the middle is not going to be beneficial.
Okay.
So I turned that over to HEB to do these contract tweaks directly. There was some environmental work that needed to be done. USDA just opened a different level of requirements. So Chris has handled all of those. I think we're just really super close now, so I'll follow up with him today. And we get that contract signed, we can make a deposit for the materials to be prefabricated on site with Hanson, bridge builders, and that'll be ready to go in his communication. He said April. So anytime in April, should the weather be on our side, we can tackle this project. The other thing, we probably need to go out and see that there's no obstructions on Snow Road, that any tightening of the road that's, say, less than 21 feet, because if there's trees or something there, we may want to be looking at removing a couple of trees so that we have...
There's actually a section on Culver Hill that would be an issue, on a bend, right in front of the house, where the house is.
Okay, good.
And it's ledge, so you can't, we're either gonna have to take part of the guy's property, or we're gonna have to blow the ledge out to widen it.
All right, maybe I'll get together with you and go over and see that ledge section, because we had considered doing some, hammer drilling over there to take some of the ledge for water, of course.
Same area.
And, okay, and then the other thing is, if that seems problematic, maybe we can ask the homeowner if we can cut in, use it, and then restore, the property, the road area back in, just. All right, great, and I'll work with you on that and the homeowner, property owner. Then, let's see, I think that that's pretty much all of what I really want to deal with today. I did have one other thing. Dean Robertson at State DEF, he handles the used oil. I did put in a plan last year for a 3-year plan for upgrading our oil collection. We have to the end of the year to make use of that grant of $2,500. I do have any time up until, I think, June of next year to file once again, take that, tweak it and put it in for another $2,500 for our discussions in a work session. We were figuring to get the system up and running and use the things that we have in place, drums and some other components for safety of storage. And then next year, purchase with some grant money the bigger, more elaborate storage unit that Mr. Fuller's found for us. So I'm thinking that's still the plan, and I'm getting nods. So if everybody seems to be good with that, that'll be on the list to file that paperwork and keep that process going. We did sign a contract for the storage facility to be constructed, and hopefully that goes off in the next month, in which case we can start our facility back up, and I'm sure people would very much appreciate that. Another consideration is cost. We probably need to reach out to NRRA on the cost of recycling oil, and at that point, whether we want to amend the transfer station fees to incorporate oil.
Well, we'll need to amend the update the policy, revise the policy, not amend it, revise it, because right now we've got no oil. So we'll have to add oil into the actual ordinance.
Right. And then I think there's probably a collection price point we should look at, because it is an expense.
Yeah, because you got, as long as it's clean, it'll be one price, but if it's contaminated, it goes right through the roof.
Yeah.
per gallon.
All right, so that's, essentially, we're only supposed to take clean technically, I believe, but we'll incorporate that into the next work session too, some discussion on we'll follow up on that oil price points and any of the other little detail items.
And I was asking the guys down there how they actually determine that. They actually pour a sample before they pour it into the bucket to determine whether it is contaminated or not. And apparently with the 3 or 4 things that typically will show up in contaminated oil, they float immediately to the top, so they can tell.
Yeah, that's the state, when you go through the training, it's basically a visual inspection, smell and visual. Okay, then I think that's the end of what I had today. We moved through pretty quickly. Dave, you're here from the Budget Committee. Were there things that you wanted to cover before?
A couple of things, Mike, if I can.
Absolutely, sir.
I just want to remind you, on the 13th is your first select board budget meeting. All budgets for that meeting, all budgets are due back to the town by the 2nd of October. So, Chris, if you don't see those that are scheduled for the 13th on the 2nd, we're gonna push them to get them in so that they can have them for their work session prior to. Make sure you guys are happy with it, so I just want to remind you on that.
So Dave, while you're on that, are you sending things directly? Is Mr. Burke and Christine, are they sending things to the
Christine
board?
sent that to everybody.
Okay, so everybody has theoretically got material. I was just handed a fire danger, class 5, no burning, Tom, I don't know who's.
I was handed,
It actually, I got it on my phone this morning.
Yeah,
It's a major fire alert. There's actually 0 fires
okay, so
for any reason.
anybody who's burning outdoors can and probably will be cited. So don't burn. Don't burn.
And,
Further notice.
the other thing that in my packet I sent out to everybody, the budget committee for next week, I had a request that the select board do a presentation of the major projects coming up. What you have in front of you, that's also in that packet, but I went through the CIP and highlighted some items, some of the warrant items I know about. So if you guys can look and beat this up, so the presentation that hopefully you'll give us at the Monday meeting, it's to get the big picture of what do you plan above and beyond the current budget that could possibly increase, to give us some idea when we go into the budget cycle.
All right.
So that's just a list of things that I know of, so you guys can beat that up.
This is a discussion item, which needs answers 1 day before our next work session. Do we need to schedule another short work session sometime this week?
Well, this is for the 28th, you're talking, you want this in?
6 p.m. and 28th. Just give us an overview of what you have, so hopefully, I tried to let you guys know a couple of weeks ago we were looking to do that, so.
Yeah, I think,
I know you've been busy, so that's why I developed this.
I think for the things you've got on here, we're gonna have,
You may add, you may delete, you may say yes, you may say no.
well, I think we've got enough subject matter to take a bit of your time, your board's time. And I know that I've asked Tom and Chuck if they have any other items, just to email them to me on warrant articles, and we can add those in. Now, certainly there are things that we fund every year, and I don't think you need to do a deep dive on those. Like even the voting machine,
You already have that in, that's already in the budget. It's the things that, like this, that are gonna cause an increase in the budget.
The big ticket items. Okay, yeah, and I think all we have to do is probably, just if you have any, things that are on your mind, we'll just add to this list.
Okay.
I think we
That's
probably,
something we can talk about. I'm not looking for all-inclusive, but just to give us a basic idea of, we had the $4.65 increase last year. We just wanna have something before we go into this budget year, what is the baseline that we're gonna go at? I mean, if we're looking at 100,000 for something, we need to know that before we start into the budget cycle. You know, that's something, you know, something like that.
Yeah, I think the one thing here, it's, let me see, you didn't have Pine River on here, right?
Nope, I didn't see it.
So,
Yeah.
so, the Pine River culvert and, some road issues are probably the bigger things that you'll be looking for. And the road issues being some work we're hoping to perform on Pine River Road, you know, frosties are, and the continuing project on Green Mountain Road.
Okay, yeah, I mean, if you just have something like that, you know, just something that we have some idea, a rough idea of what you're planning to do, so.
Yeah, I think for this point in time, I think we've got probably enough here to you know,
Sure.
cover the majority of the big issues that
Well, we're not gonna hold you to it if something is not addressed, it's just what you know of that we know ahead of time. If something comes up, obviously it comes up,
Yep.
just to give us an idea, Mike.
Yep, no, we can do that, Dave, not a problem.
And the last thing I had was, I had requested earlier, Mike, to you to get on the, non-public for, discussion on a contractor.
Okay,
Is it possible to get in on that today?
sure, we'll take that
I've
one
got all my
first.
data with me.
We have a couple of items there, and, we'll take yours first, and then we have,
If you got somebody else, I can hang around, if there's no problem, whatever you want.
no, I'm not gonna waste your time. We'll take care of you, then I know Tom had an issue, and I believe we have an 11 o'clock, appointment in the non-public.
Okay, yeah, if you could, I'd appreciate it.
Yep, any other items for the budget committee coming up?
No, as long as you're aware of the schedule, and Chris has been doing a great job on keeping track of the nonprofits, and, you know, as far as the budget sheets, as always, she's always been assistant to me on that, which is a great help.
Okay, good to hear. Guess we'll keep you around for another week or two.
Yeah.
Chris. All right, any other issues anybody has?
One item I forgot.
Yep.
The library trustees have put a conditional offer in for a new library director.
Okay,
So they're in the process of backfilling that position. They came earlier this summer.
all right. Brian,
There's a couple, three quick things.
oh, you,
The cruiser is in, we have received the bill, I've notified the trustees of the trust fund, they're meeting at 3 o'clock this afternoon, so we should get the check for the vehicle.
okay,
The second thing is a bunch of items that are still included as equipment that we have not purchased yet. I've given them a heads up on that, but I don't have the actual invoices, so that we'll have to get that money from at a different time.
just for, budgeting, purposes, CIP, and for, as we budget for the trust funds with cruises. Costs always go up over time, we're seeing that with this purchase. So we have the cruiser purchase. What I think I would like you to ask for the police department is a breakdown of all equipment, because we pre-bought some things last year. And, this year, there's going to be additional purchases, as you say, and some installation cost of the equipment. I guess what I'd be looking for is a concise inventory line item kind of thing of all of those costs, so
I can give you that right now for what we haven't paid for yet. I'll have to go back and look what we bought last year.
okay, so if you have that information, that'd be a great tool for us to have budgeting, going forward. And as you heard Mr. Strauss from the Budget Committee, we're gonna be coming down to that detailed kind of discussion, so if you have time to pull that together, that'd be great.
The other things are the cleaning, which includes the floor waxing. The guy that was interested has dropped off the face of the earth. We've heard nothing from him.
He was so interested, and we were supposed to get something by the end of the week. I could try making a call again and checking in on him.
Sure, give him one call, I guess, and if this is an ongoing effort, don't get carried away, but. So with one more,
I'm still gonna leave the cleaning on the list.
Yeah.
He's bypassing that,
I-
Mr. Chairman.
No, it's right here without a check mark, and beyond it is check mark, so, no, it was strategic. I didn't, if there wasn't a report on it, I figured it wasn't necessary to go, what haven't you got done? There's plenty of those. We used to have like a 3-page agenda here years ago. It was really, you could come back, it was like watching a soap opera. You could come back 6 months later and still, you haven't missed anything. We're back to 1 page, it's pretty good. All right, with that, is there anything else? Hearing none, I will make a motion to take a 10-minute recess, and then we'll come back for a non-public session. I would go with 5, but you know what? I got hoodwinked on that one last
I
time.
burned you last week. Yeah. Good me.
All right, with that, I make such a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
All right.
Hal and I. We will now go into recess. All right, so now we're back. We're gonna make it official to go into non-public, so with that, I'm gonna make a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91-A:3, Roman 2, subsection C. And with that, we'll take a vote.
All right.
Hal and I. All right, we're gonna shut down the recording. All right, with that, we're gonna make a motion to enter into public session, and I make said motion.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Go into or come out of?
Go into public we're coming out of non-public,
Got it, into public, got it. Fuller, aye.
Hal and I. So with that, we have concluded our business with the exception of, we had an employee interview scheduled, but due to, automotive, troubles,
Circumstances, yeah.
yep, the gentleman cannot, make the appointment, so we'll reschedule that. With that, I would, entertain a motion to adjourn unless anybody had any other issue in.
I make a motion to adjourn.
All right.
Fuller, second.
Al and I.
All right. Bye.
That's that.